This is a heartbreaking situation. Once there are people in opposing positions and no middle ground is being discovered, we don't know how to go forward. June, at the end of June, and the protests in Hong Kong had started, and things were changing very, very rapidly all around me every single day. And there were violent situations and there were confrontations in a place where we haven't ever seen confrontations. And it just threw me into a lot of questions about, this is my home, and yet one of the themes of the protest movement is to refer to us as Hengongyan. And I feel I am a Hengongyan. And yet I'm an English Yan as well, or Yinggoyan. So in a way this is my adopted home, but my son was born here, and my husband was born here, and I live here and I've worked here, and I feel very embedded in the community here. So I feel I am a Hengongyan. And I started to process these questions through my art in this book, and that became page 1. This was really, a burdensome question. It left me wondering about how I fit into everything. And yet, really, in all the things that are happening in the disputes between the local people and the Hong Kong government, there is very little flexibility, actually. And I deliberately included Kuan Yin because I feel she's a goddess of mercy and a figure of compassion, and I think we all feel such compassion for the whole situation and everything that's going on and how it's affecting every single person here.
Mountains symbolize peace and stability. It reminds me of my village, so it's a very homely feeling as well. During the protests, when it wasn't easy to go out often, it became my escape. I was so glad that I'm an artist. I come from this very beautiful, pristine village in India. It's a southernmost state in India, and I live I come from a very interior village. It's beautiful, natural beauty. You can see like beautiful mountains from my house. So I actually came up with this whole series, the Hong Kong series, where I try to draw parallels between Hong Kong, the place I currently stay in, and the place I come from. My first solo exhibition was a series on Hong Kong. You won't believe, 18 people, locals and whatever expats, whomever friends I had, they all turned up with masks and sanitizers for my exhibition. That's when I knew that I have 18 people who would come for me unconditionally, pandemic or anything, and that was such a good feeling. Spending 2 years in Kennedy Town, it started to feel like home. If you ask me about Kennedy Town today, it's not just a place that's on the Hong Kong island, but it's a feeling to me. Because it was almost like home. Because home is where you bear all your feelings. So I had many thoughts in the parks, in the mountains and the piers here. I felt sad, happy, angry. It was a whole range of feelings.
Living in Pat Cop gives me a place literally to just come home and be. It's quiet. Sleepy! Not sleeping! She likes to wait on the top of the steps, and then when certain people walk past, mainly men, she calls out and then she just lies on the ground in front of them. Don't you? I'm 60 years old now, and I was born and raised in the UK and England. And art was a part of my life right from when I was a little girl. Very encouraged by my mum and all the crafts and the handicrafts that we did growing up, and my dad. We spent a lot of time walking and out in nature and in our garden. And we spent a lot of time noticing things. And I came here to Hong Kong 30 years ago to take up a position as an art teacher in an international school. And I think that some of my biggest teachers have been the small children that I've worked with, because small children have very fine focused attention. They notice a lot of things. They're great observers, and they're ready and open for expression.
Two months ago, I saw this gem of a ruin while walking on King's Road. We got into the place, to the abandoned houses, to making it to the top and being enthralled by the geometric whimsy of the architecture. I immediately related it to an abandoned mill I had explored in my village back home in Kerala. Such places, irrespective of their location, always make me wonder of how times would have been. If only these walls could talk, would they cry out loud to see how fast things have changed and how times threaten their sheer existence? If you want to create something, then it is an everyday challenge to rise above your issues. Look up, crane your neck enough so you can reach a comfortable mental space where it's all rosy pink with unicorn glitter around. So you're able to give your creations an existence and a breath of fresh air. When I moved to Hong Kong, being a person of color, I found it more challenging to establish myself as an artist. Every hindrance and every conflict within you and around you comes in the way of being an artist. On the MTR, the seat next to me would be empty, while the train would be running full. People would rather stand than sit next to me. I never knew if this was coincidental or was it intentional, but it happened to me multiple times.
It was just literally one day crossing the road in Central. I just came off my ferry and I was walking up to my studio. And I was looking at all the faces of people. We're all looking normal, but actually nothing's normal about what's happening in Hong Kong at that time. But we have to get up and we have to go to work. And because we're human beings, we want to stabilize ourselves by trying to be as normal as possible, to get back to a kind of homeostasis. I was just literally standing at a stoplight looking around at everybody thinking we're all trying to be normal, and yet everybody's normal is shattered and mine is. And am I the same or am I different? You know, there are things that are fixed. There are so many aspects of identity. There are fixed aspects, there are fluid aspects, there are things we can't change. So I can't change the fact that I was born in another country. I can't change the fact that I'm 60 years old. I potentially can't choose the fact that I'm female. We're so culturally different in many ways, yeah. But I also love it. I think that artists have got lots of different roles. Participating in the political situation, documenting it, observing it, and processing how we feel about it are all different, relevant artistic responses.
Many of my friends left Hong Kong this year. Somehow, I don't really want to do that. It almost feels like I'm abandoning them. I wasn't doing anything concrete, like taking to the streets, but I still feel like being here for them, even if it's to just talk about it. There's just something that makes me feel, no, I'm not done yet.
I've lived in Hong Kong nearly 30 years, and it's my home. It's my really very loved home. There is nowhere like Hong Kong. But what happens if I can't live here because I'm an expatriate? What happens if everything changes? What would I do? Where would I go? And actually, who am I?